Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year. Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Well, after some rain earlier today here in New York City, it has turned into a very nice evening for a ball game as the Blue Jays and Yankees get set to open up a 3-game series here in the Bronx. A big series for both teams given the standings, and with both teams trying to make a move, narrow the gap a little bit on the Orioles and the Red Sox. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays lineup that John Gibbons has put together tonight. Jose Bautista back in the leadoff spot, and why not? Hit 3 home runs in 4 games as a leadoff hitter in Minnesota. Of course, he always demolishes the Twins, especially at Target Field. And Michael Saunders in the cleanup spot for the 2nd game in a row, and he's had some success against the Yankees. That's back in the opening series of the season. Back at Rogers Center, it's been a terrific season overall. Jimmy Paredes is the DH tonight. Edwin Encarnacion is at first. So Justin Smoke not in the lineup as the Blue Jays get set to face the hard-throwing right-hander Nathan Eovaldi.
Blue Jays beat Eovaldi early in the season. In fact, he got off to an 0-2 start, but he's won 4 straight decisions over his last 5 starts. He's a hard thrower. That has never really bothered the Blue Jays at all. They like that fastball. But if he gets his breaking ball over consistently and can throw the splitter effectively enough to make the Blue Jay hitters think about it, he could be tough for them tonight. He's pitching with a lot of confidence right now.
Defensively behind Eovaldi tonight, left to right in the outfield, Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury. Dustin Ackley is in right field. Carlos Beltran DHing because Alex Rodriguez is not yet back on the active roster. Chase Headley, who's coming around a little bit with the bat, will be at third base tonight. Didi Gregorius at short. The former Cubs, Starlin Castro at second, and Mark Teixeira at first. And Austin Romine will do the catching tonight instead of Brian McCann.
Starlin Castro has really solidified the infield defense. He and Didi Gregorius, the double-play combination, have really done a great job. They are both 26 years old, and that is a very young double-play combination.
21 degrees at game time as Jose Bautista steps in, and we're underway here at Yankee Stadium. Castro now, after a pitch, walking from the right side of second base to the left side as they put the shift on. And there's 98 in the zone from Eovaldi. Only Noah Syndergaard throws his fastball harder as a starting pitcher than Nathan Eovaldi. Yet he still gives up a lot of hits. This year, a hit per inning. In his career, more than a hit per inning.
Yeah, and it's because it's straight. He doesn't have the dramatic movement we see from other pitchers, but at 98, he's got to locate them. If he leaves it out over the heart of the plate, Blue Jays will catch up to it.
And gets a strike call on a slider at 89 miles an hour. Bautista checking with home plate umpire James Hoy. Wasn't convinced that was in the zone. And the count is 2-2.
Yeah, and that has been a concern for the Blue Jays. They've had a lot of calls go against them in that strike zone. That ball looked like it was up and away.
Fouled off.
That's the hard splitter. It was up, and he was trying to get it down around the knees to get a swing and a miss, but he left it up. That's a mistake.
The Blue Jays getting together before the series with the Twins and saying, hey, it's just not working. Something needs to change. And some of the veteran players involved in the conversation. Jose Bautista hitting in the leadoff spot, had success there in the 4-game series.
That's kind of like a manager having a meeting before Rory Halladay pitches. Right. You say, okay, well, we're going to have a meeting. Well, make sure you know who's pitching. John Gibbons knew Bautista hits very well against Minnesota in that ballpark, so he said it's about time for a lineup change.
So Encarnacion hitting third. Whether this is permanent or temporary obviously depends on the results. The 2-2 back to the mound, speared on a hop by Eovaldi for the first out.
Well, as Dan mentioned, Eovaldi throws harder than any starter in the American League. Only Noah Syndergaard of the Mets throws harder with the fastball. And you can see it's 96.8. He throws that half the time. But the splitter is probably the second most important pitch because it's just like the fastball, but it breaks down in the zone. The slider, 19%, an occasional curveball. I think he would be better served to throw that curveball at 75 miles an hour a little more frequently than that hard slider.
Bautista retired. Here's Josh Donaldson. Donaldson with Bautista ahead of him. They went back-to-back to begin the game Sunday in Minneapolis. Donaldson hitting an even .250, 11 home runs on the season. Was stuck on 9-21 for a long time at 11-24 right now.
Donaldson hit that slider right off the end of the bat. Had a good cut. Everything seems to be the same out of Eovaldi's hand. Hard fastball, hard splitter, and a hard slider.
Eovaldi, 26 years of age, from Houston originally. Donaldson sends one down the left field line, headed to the corner, but foul. Eovaldi started off in the Dodger organization, was traded to the Marlins in 2012 in a deal that saw Hanley Ramirez go the other way, and then was acquired by the Yankees in an offseason deal in December of 2014. Last year he went 14-3, but had a lot of run support. The ERA was over 4. Made 27 starts before a bad elbow shut him down in September. A guy they have always felt maybe right on the verge of taking it to the next level because of that stuff, but still has ups and downs game to game.
He's 26 years old, and that's about time when everything should be coming together for him. He's pitched enough now to know the hitters. He knows the league, and now he knows that he's got to command his pitches.
Donaldson just got a piece of that splitter.
Donaldson homered off Eovaldi at Rogers Center earlier in the season when they faced each other. He had a hanging splitter deep to center field, and then later on in the game hit a hanging curveball for a double.
Troy Tulowitzki homered off Eovaldi in that game as well back on April the 14th. Here's the 1-2, and reaching for it. Donaldson bounces it foul up the third baseline. Bautista made Eovaldi throw a number of pitches, and now Donaldson doing the same. The Yankees have won 5 in a row, and they've gotten great starting pitching over the last 5 games. All 5 starters pitched well. Joe Girardi's team allowing only 10 runs in their last 5 games. Now, whether that can continue, whether the likes of Pineda and Nova can continue to be consistent along with Eovaldi, Sabathia, another guy, but right now they're in a pretty good group.
Yeah, last time through the rotation they threw very well, and of course Joe Girardi has the luxury of that 3-headed monster down in the bullpen, but getting CC Sabathia back off the DL and having him pitch so well is very encouraging for the Yankees.
Again the 1-2, back to the mound again. Second play in a row made by Eovaldi. The Yankees actually been playing well for a while now. They've won 12 of their last 17. Overall they're 13-8 in the month of May, and the pitching has been better. They have not been the Bronx Bombers this year. They've not been scoring a ton of runs, but the formula is simple. Try to have a lead after 6 innings. You got a lead after 6 innings, chances are with Betances, Miller, and Chapman, it's a double.
Yeah, and Joe knows that if they're going to get back into contention, they have to have consistent starting pitching. He said it's all about the starting pitching. You've got to be able to give the bullpen a lead, hand it off.
Edwin Encarnacion again hitting in the 3 spot. 9 home runs on the season, 3 of them in April, 6 so far in May, when he has had so much success in his career.
So Edwin has moved up into the 3rd spot, and just another opportunity to get your 3 best hitters to the plate in the 1st inning. And we have seen starters have trouble in the first inning trying to get into the flow of the game.
Evaldi out in front 0-2, and laying off the splitter is Encarnacion for ball 1. You almost know with 2 strikes that's the next pitch you're going to see from him.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much of a pattern for me. I think he needs to mix in other pitches on that count, but he comes right back with it.
Strikes out Encarnacion, and he gets the Blue Jays in order in the top of the first here at Yankee Stadium. It'll be R.A. Dickey on the mound for the Blue Jays when we come back. Here at Yankee Stadium, Joe Girardi, the skipper of the New York Yankees. So look at the lineup that he has written onto his scorecard for tonight. Carlos Beltran has been very, very hot for the Yankees. Still a dangerous hitter. 10 hits, 6 for extra bases in his last 5 games. And Dustin Ackley gets a start tonight for the Yankees. He's out in right field. One of the reasons he's got some really strong career numbers against R.A. Dickey.
Absolutely he does. When you look at what he's done against Dickey, that's why Joe Girardi has him in the starting lineup against the knuckleballer. This is the 10th start of the season for Dickey, and as he has been throughout his time in Toronto, he got off to a slow start, but he's starting to throw the ball much better, much more consistently in the strike zone. And he's done a pretty good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. Last time out, he gave up 3 home runs at Rogers Center, but overall, I would say he's done a nice job of commanding that strike zone with the knuckleball.
Yeah, he had made 3 consecutive very strong starts before getting touched up for the home run ball against the White Sox, or against the Rays rather, on May the 18th. Pitched very well in the early innings of that game before giving up 2 home runs in the 4th and 1 in the 6th. Here's Jacoby Ellsbury, who's been hot, hitting .348 since May the 7th, and he takes the knuckler outside of ball 1. A healthy, effective Jacoby Ellsbury, a huge key for the Yankees offense. Sometimes as he goes, they go. When he's on, disrupting things on the base paths. Always seems to have trouble staying healthy, and has already missed 7 games this year with a hip injury. He'll be followed by Brett Gardner and then Mark Teixeira.
You see his numbers over his last 5 games, hitting .368. That hip injury appears to be behind him now. But you're right, if he and Gardner get on base, it's always a challenge for the Blue Jays to shut down the Yankees.
One thing that both pitchers tonight do well, Evaldi and Dickey, is control the running game. The Yankees have more speed. Ellsbury and Gardner both like to run, so we'll see if they'll test Dickey if they get on. There's a strike, 3-1.
R.A. has mixed up his delivery from time to time the last couple starts. He'll use a quick pitch, he'll use the hesitation, but it seems to be working.
3-1, line to right field, a diving attempt by Bautista, but it's by him to the wall. Ellsbury is already around second, and he's going to coast into third.
Not sure if Jose saw that ball very well off the bat. It looked like he got a slow start breaking for it. The ball was sinking as it got toward Bautista in right. This ball is a line drive, and Bautista kind of reacts like he might not have seen it right off the bat. And then when he dives, it's well beyond his reach and goes all the way to the warning track. So Ellsbury starts things off.
Triple all the way for Ellsbury. Leadoff man at third here in the bottom of the first, and Brett Gardner looking to give the Yankees an early lead. Gardner with 246 on the season of 5 home runs. Donaldson is even with the bag, well off the line at third. The rest of the infielders backed up.
Another look at Bautista in right. You can see he tries to backhand it, but it's beyond his reach. And coming off the left-handed hitter's bat, that's going to slice away from him even more. So it goes all the way to the wall. It was a high reward kind of hit for Ellsbury as he ends up at third with his 4th triple of the season.
A ball and a strike on Gardner. Early pressure too on Josh Thole behind the plate. With a runner at third, nobody out, trying to keep that knuckleball in front of him.
Josh has had a rough start to the season. He's already been charged with 8 pass balls, and that reflects, in my mind, how much that knuckleball's been moving for RA early in the season.
Did you ever catch a knuckleballer full time?
Yes. I never played full time, but I caught him every once in a while.
Who was it? Who was your knuckleballer?
Bruce Del Canton.
Okay.
The late Bruce Del Canton, and I'll tell you more about that. He threw it very hard. He was, like everybody else, a conventional pitcher. Came up with the Pirates. We got him in Kansas City. But Jack McKeon thought he could be a knuckleball pitcher, and he had a great one. But I was a backup catcher, so Bruce didn't pitch very much, and whenever he did, I caught him.
Same glove or different glove?
Different glove. Much different glove.
2-2.
That's a pretty good pitch. Didn't get to call. Yeah, my knuckleball glove was an old-fashioned Paul Richards knuckleball glove. It was much different than the glove that Josh used. Very heavy. And in fact, I still have it at home. It's a big monstrosity glove, and it's nothing like that glove there.
Three-two, runs outside for ball 4. And early trouble here for Dickey. Let's set the defense behind Dickey tonight. Michael Saunders in left field, Kevin Pillar in center, and you've already seen Jose Bautista in right. On the infield, Josh Donaldson at third, Troy Tulowitzki is the shortstop. Darwin Barney getting the start at second base tonight. Edwin Encarnacion in the field. He's at first base. Paredes is DHing tonight, and of course Thole is always catching Dickey. John Gibbons saying he wanted to get Encarnacion into the field every now and again, and Barney simply, they feel, has earned the right to play more often than he had been.
Yeah, Encarnacion's making his 11th start at third base, and John simply said, I want him to feel more like a ball player. He just can't DH all the time. And in Darwin Barney's case, he said right now he's playing better than Ryan Goins, so I'm going to make sure he's in the lineup as well. You know, the Blue Jays are in a situation where they got to put the best people on the field, no matter what you think.
Here's Mark Teixeira, and you'll notice Teixeira, a switch hitter, is batting right-handed against Dickey. Early in his career facing the likes of Tim Wakefield, he hit left, didn't have much success, and he said, well, the heck with it. If I'm not going to have any success, I may as well at least take a shot at that green monster when I'm in Boston. So he turned around to hit from the right side against Wakefield, which is his natural side, and you'll see a lot of switch hitters hit from the right side. When he faced Dickey earlier in Dickey's career, when Dickey was kind of a 50-50 knuckleball guy, he went back to the left side. But now that Dickey, and for some years, has been almost exclusively a knuckleballer, Teixeira goes back to the right side against him. You'd think almost in this ballpark you'd say, well, the heck with it, I may as well hit from the left side because of the short porch out in right field. But he does bat right now against knuckleballers.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that right now Mark Teixeira is hitting 140 as a left-handed hitter. So he has to feel better batting right-handed, even though it's a knuckleballer.
There has not been a successful stolen base against R.A. Dickey in his last 25 starts. Kind of amazing because obviously the ball takes longer to get to the plate when Dickey throws it, but he does a good job containing the running game. Got a lot to deal with right now, though, in the early going. He's in there with a strike, and it's 2-2.
Now, you mentioned that both Eovaldi and Dickey are very good at shutting down the running game. Eovaldi has allowed just 11 stolen bases in 19 attempts. He's done a terrific job for his career.
2-2. Got him swinging. Big first out for Dickey. Now Carlos Beltran. And Beltran seemingly, although you never like to see a teammate get injured, with Alex Rodriguez on the DL, he's been DHing more, and he's been swinging the bat great. An older player, maybe conserving his energy and his legs a little bit, and boy, still a dangerous bat when he's in a groove.
He sure is, and he's fresh, he's healthy again, and now he's showing how dynamic he can be as a hitter. He just finished up the 4-game series in Oakland, batting .500. He was 9 for 18. Did a terrific job driving in runs.
And you'll notice he's hitting from the left side. He's a switch hitter. So last time I was here, I asked Mark Teixeira, and he gave me that answer, that long-winded answer that I just doubled the length of by telling the story about why he hits right against knuckleballers. I went over to Beltran and said, "Can you tell me why you do what you do?" And he goes, "Yeah, well, he's a righty. I hit left against righties. Doesn't matter to me." He doesn't overcomplicate. And close at first, but Gardner back. Beltran says, "Yeah, I feel fine. I'm just going to hit left against him." So.
If Dickey makes a better throw on this last pickoff, he gets him. Because Gardner was definitely running, and Dickey timed it perfectly, but the throw was just a little bit up. Watch the throw here as Gardner gets back, and had it been on the base, they pick him off. But Edwin had to wait for the high throw, and by the time he puts the tag on Gardner, he's back safely.
Encarnacion, there's one back to first, not in time. Dickey may be looking into the dugout to see if the Blue Jays want to have a look at this one, but if it stands, it's a fielder's choice and a 1-0 lead for the Yankees.
What a terrific play by Encarnacion. I thought his best bet might have been to come home, but he has the presence of mind to get that runner in second. He comes off the bag, and watch how he backhands. He's got a good lane to Tulowitzki. Makes a low throw, but the return throw is a good one, just a little bit late. Beltran hustling out of the box. Good play by Encarnacion, but the Yankees score a run on the fielder's choice.
So you can see he was safe. The Blue Jays decide not to have a look at it, not to review it, and here's Dustin Ackley who takes the strike. So 1-0 Yankees. RBI for Beltran. And with 2 down, here's Ackley, 6 for 13 in his career against Dickey. Can play first, second, corner outfield spots. A very high draft pick, 2nd overall pick back in the day at the University of North Carolina by Seattle. Hoping to revive his career, was acquired by the Yankees last year. Off the glove of Tolley, and there's pass ball number 9 on the season. Beltran up to second.
Yeah, Josh kind of relaxed on that pitch because it was up right in front of him, and then it kicks off the heel of his glove, and that allows Beltran to go to second. Every 90 feet is crucial with a knuckleballer, but watch how Josh gets up, says, okay, I got it right in my glove, but it kicks off the thumb of that glove and goes to the right for another 90 feet on the pass ball.
Shift on for the Blue Jays, 3 on the right side against Ackley, who swings and misses to end the inning. So a couple of strikeouts, but the leadoff triple is costly, and the Yankees have a 1-0 lead.
Continue to battle the Eastern Conference Final. You can see Game 5 tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern. It all starts with Raptors Central Playoff Edition. You can watch it on Sportsnet or live stream it on Sportsnet. Now, guys, I spoke to a number of the players today, and they are all on board with what's happening with the Raptors. Dan, in fact, Kevin Pillar said to me today, watching what's going on in the city and the excitement around the Raptors motivates him to want to get the Blue Jays back there again this year.
Just like what the Blue Jays did last fall. Motivated the Raptors, and a couple of pretty impressive games for the Raptors in games 3 and 4. I don't know that anybody thought they'd be heading back to Cleveland all tied up at 2. All the pressure on the Cavaliers, you would figure right now.
Absolutely. Congratulations to the Raptors, and keep it going.
Michael Saunders leads off the second, 1-0 Yankees. Saunders hitting in the cleanup spot for the second game in a row and just having a great year, hitting .322, 8 home runs, hitting .364 on the road this year. As he takes wide of the plate, ball 2 from Eovaldi. I don't know that anybody could have envisioned a scenario where Saunders would hit cleanup on this team. Now, granted, there have been a lot of things going on, but the juggling of the lineup. There's a broken bat fly ball to left field. Should be routine for Gardner. 1 down.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just given the personnel of the position players, you would expect someone other than Saunders to hit cleanup. But Michael's done such a great job in the way that they have juggled the lineup. He is a good fit right now.
4 in a row set down by Eovaldi to begin his evening. And here's Troy Tulowitzki. Had some success in Minnesota, had some big hits, hit the ball hard a couple of times when he had nothing to show for it. Hitting in the 5 spot tonight, hitting .205 with 8 home runs on the season. Cubs have gotten out of the gate early tonight at the expense of Michael Wacha. Cubs scored 6 runs in the top of the first in St. Louis.
They were mad about last night, the Cubs. They got walked off by Randall Grichuk.
They've lost 8 out of 12, yet they're still 29-14, off to a great start. 3 pretty good teams in that division: the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Pirates. Blue Jays trying to move up the ladder in the American League East and get in the hunt along with the likes of the Red Sox and the Orioles. Red Sox are out early, up 2-0 on Colorado in the second inning as Tulowitzki lines one into center field, a base hit.
Save during Canada's Color Expert Sale, only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Back in the Bronx, Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez, a 1-0 lead for the Yankees over the Blue Jays. A 1-out base hit for Troy Tulowitzki. And the first pitch taken low by tonight's designated hitter, Jimmy Paredes, who can play a variety of positions, but really swinging the bat is his strength. So Encarnacion is at first. Paredes getting to DH tonight.
He's got a .355 average against the Yankees for his career, and John Gibbons made note of that. Said not only is he swinging the bat well, he always hits well against the Yankees, so he put him in the lineup. He has 2 career home runs against New York and 8 RBIs.
Former Baltimore Oriole, switch hitter batting for the left side, 3 on the right side. The shift on for the Yankees. Tulowitzki being held on by Teixeira. Big swing and a miss at a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Eovaldi comes in pitching pretty well, 4-0 with a .348 ERA in his last 5 starts. Check the swing and a ball in the dirt. The appeal down to third, and Marvin Hudson says nope, he didn't go, so it's ball 3.
Now you see the Yankees infielders, they switch, figuring that Paredes won't bunt in this situation. They put Gregorius back on the shortstop side and put the third baseman Chase Headley up the middle. Chase Headley is near the bag at second.
Teams are getting more and more intricate with their defense. Not year by year, month by month, it seems.
Inning by inning.
Yeah. Lead by Tulowitzki. 3-1 on the way, down and in for ball 4, and the Blue Jays have 2 men on. with the center fielder Kevin Pillar, who's 3 for 7 in his career against Eovaldi, hitting .250 on the season with a couple of home runs. This feels like a guy, we've seen Pillar so many times get a knee-high fastball and just lash it into left field. And this feels like a guy that if Pillar can catch up to it, he can do some damage against.
Yeah, Pillar hit well against Eovaldi when these two saw each other back early in April at Rogers Center. He was hitting leadoff at that time. Biggest thing for Pillar is he's just got to hit strikes. He gets into a rut where he'll chase pitches trying to hit them before they come into the zone. But boy, when he starts swinging at strikes, he becomes very dangerous.
You can see it's not been going well for him lately. Just 6 for his last 49 after he had been the hottest hitter the Blue Jays had. Now he hits a ground ball to second. And they still turn 2, although Gregorius had trouble getting the ball out of his glove. Pillar kind of signaled safe after he went over the bag running down the line, and John Gibbons is saying, everybody hold on a second.
Yeah, it looked like Pillar was past the bag, and Gregorius for some reason had an extra hesitation. Watched the shortstop come across the bag, and he had trouble getting a grip on that baseball. That allowed Pillar to beat it. It looked like he was clearly on the bag before the throw got the first, so we're going to have a review here early. One thing Pillar does is he never ever takes anything for granted. He won't concede that double play. He legged it out.
And the Blue Jays do want to have a look at it. Pillar still down beyond first base with Tim Lieber, the first base coach. One more look. And he's clearly safe.
He's safe by about 18 inches.
This replay review is powered by Samsung, and this replay review shouldn't take very long. Safe. So the inning isn't over yet. It'll go as a fielder's choice. The Blue Jays retain their challenge, and it'll be first and third with 2 down, as Gregorius just couldn't transfer the ball from his glove to his hand quickly enough to make a throw.
Well, that's a big break for the Blue Jays. Now they have to take advantage of it. First and third for Barney.
Barney hitting .328 on the season and hitting .371 in his last 13 games. Breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. Barney getting more of the playing time. Ryan Goins not swinging the bat well. Devin Travis on rehab down in the minors right now. Going to be an interesting next couple of weeks at the second base position for the Blue Jays to see how it all sorts itself out.
Devin Travis is now in AAA Buffalo, and they have probably about 10 days left in his rehab, and I'm sure they'll use the entire limit of that rehab assignment, which covers 20 games.
0-1. Fastball lined foul down the right side. 2 strikes now on Barney.
Darwin's done a nice job hitting with runners in scoring position for the season. He's 6 for 14. .429 average. Hit a home run on Friday night into the second deck in Minnesota, and uncharacteristically he had a little bat flip at the end of it, but he said, hey, I always toss my bat off to my right, and it just happened to stick in my hand a little bit longer.
Blue Jays looking for anybody who will swing the bat well with the runners in scoring position. As a team, they're a dismal .218 on the season. What a difference a year makes.
They were the best in the American League a year ago.
0-2. Ground ball to third. Headley across the diamond, and the inning is over. No runs, a base hit, 2 men left on, and to the bottom of the second in the Bronx with the Yankees holding a 1-0 lead.
Stadium with R.A. Dickey on the mound tonight. Russell Martin gets one of his days off, and I talked to him about that before the game, and he said, well, he is a competitor, and he does want to play every day. He has absolutely no hard feelings about Josh Thole being here and being R.A.'s regular guy. In fact, he says no one catches a knuckleball as well as Josh Thole does, and in the long run, having those extra days are not only good for the body, but also good for the mind, because it is so taxing to catch R.A. Dickey. As far as what's happening with Russ Martin at the plate, he's not going to make any excuses to say what we've seen so far is not the real Russ Martin, but he does point out that the way he's been lining the ball over the last few games is a sure sign to him that he's on the cuffs of breaking out real soon.
All right, Barry, thank you. Blue Jays hoping so. There have been little signs here and there up and down the lineup that certain guys are coming around, but they're still not clicking anywhere near to the extent that they did last year. Last year they scored 891 runs. They're on a pace this year to score 655, 226 fewer runs than they did last year if they continue with this current pace.
Yeah, and when you score runs like that, it covers up a lot of flaws, and certainly the bullpen wouldn't be so concerning if the offense had scored as many runs as they did last year at the start of the season.
Here's Starlin Castro, acquired in the offseason from the Cubs for pitcher Adam Warren. Castro hitting .276, 5 home runs, just 26 years of age, surpassed 1,000 career hits back in the middle of April. 3-time All-Star with the Cubs, former shortstop, moved to second base last year when Addison Russell became the Cubs shortstop. He is staying at second base. Looks like that is now his home. He is the Yankees second baseman as he squibs one foul. But the Yankees, bit by bit, Buck, trying to get younger, trying to get more athletic, and they've started doing that in the middle of the diamond with Castro and Gregorius.
Yeah, and Joe Girardi understands that. When Joe was a player here with the Yankees, they had a lot of young players coming through the system, and they all kind of grew up together.
Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 3 for Dickey.
Dickey has that knuckleball consistently in the strike zone lately, and even that first Yankee run, Bautista left his feet, the ball got past him. Ellsbury had leadoff triple, and it's tough to pitch around the leadoff triple. I don't care how good you are.
Here's Chase Headley, and a fastball on the first pitch in for a strike. Headley coming around a little bit. Took him weeks to record his first extra base hit. Recently, though, a couple of doubles and a couple of homers. He's hitting .310 since May the 9th, which happens to be his birthday. Turned 32 on May the 9th, and he's hitting .310 since. We told you the Red Sox had a 2-0 lead in the Rockies. It's now 2-1, but the Boston runs coming on a 2-run single by David Ortiz. RBIs number 38 and 39 on the season for the 40-year-old David Ortiz, who just will not slow down. He's now hitting .333. Xander Bogaerts said in that game he's hitting .350 right now. And of course, Jackie Bradley Jr. enters the game on a 27-game hitting streak, hitting .342. They are relentless.
They sure are, and Ortiz has tied Cano, at least for the time being, atop the American League in RBIs. Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts, they both have 33 RBIs. They were in the top 10. Offensively, the Red Sox playing like the Blue Jays did a year ago.
1 ball, 2 strikes, the count on Headley. You think it's 100% certain David Ortiz retires at the end of the year?
Everything that you hear him say, we want to win the World Series and I think I'll go away. Why wouldn't you retire? And if you're going to have a year like this, what a way to go out.
1-2 again, and a ground ball weakly hit toward first. Encarnacion will take it himself.
R.A. Dickey has pitched very well against the Yankees over his last 8 starts. He's got an ERA at 1.80. The Yanks are hitting just over 200 against him, and his whip is very respectable. And he's kept the ball in the ballpark. That's the #1 number that jumps out at me. And R.A.'s done a good job, as we mentioned earlier, keeping the ball in a big part of this field. And there's plenty of room to pitch here in Yankee Stadium.
And what you want to avoid here is the left-handed batters pulling the ball to the short porch in right field. It's only 314 down the line in right. Big part of the ballpark's out in left center. It's 399 in the alley. Compare that to Rogers Center, which is 375 to left center. Here it's 399. So if you can keep them to left center and center field, and even into right center, you got a shot. They start pulling the ball here, you got a problem.
Yeah, anywhere from the scoreboard to the right field foul line, that's really trouble. Fly balls go out there, pop-ups go out there. And in the old Yankee Stadium, the fence from the right field foul pole would bow out a little bit. This one goes straight out at a right angle.
Shot to first off the bat of Gregorius, but a right at Encarnacion, and it's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Dickey. End of 2 in the Bronx. Yankees 1 and the Blue Jays nothing.
You log on and enter the following code to earn My Blue Jays points. Tonight's code is MBJ4831. It is that simple. All you have to do is watch the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. You have to enter it by 11:59 tonight, but we will have a new code for you tomorrow. Dan?
All right, Barry, thank you. Top of the third. Yankees 1 and the Blue Jays nothing. Opening game of a 3-game series. Tomorrow night, we're back with you again for the second game. The final game of this series, make note, on Thursday, it's a 4 o'clock start. Not your typical 7 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock start. The Yankees are heading down to Tampa to start a series on Friday. It'll be Ivan Nova and Marco Estrada tomorrow night, and then Thursday, CC Sabathia and Jay Happ. The Blue Jays flipping Sanchez and Happ, giving Aaron Sanchez an extra day, and the Yankees hit righties better than lefties, so they get the lefty Happ in the lineup against New York.
Yeah, obviously, if you have the option of starting a left-hander in this ballpark, you're always going to take advantage of that.
Josh Tolley leading off the third for the Blue Jays, and Eovaldi falls behind the number 9 hitter, 3-0. Aaron Sanchez also, you know, the long-term thought process, the number of innings, maybe give him a day here, a day there, conserve a little bit here and there if you can.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's good that they can take care of it and give him that extra day. He had the off day yesterday, and then moving back a day, I think it'll serve him well down the stretch. Sanchez has thrown 59 innings. That's 10 1/3 behind the leader, his teammate Marcus Stroman. So both these young guys doing a great job of pitching deep into ball games. Rosario Osuna, what a great start he's gotten off to. The most reliable of the relief pitchers for the Blue Jays, without question.
Marcus Stroman looking on as Tolley sends one down the left field line, but a foul back out of play. Marcus
won his 5th game on Sunday in Minnesota. Blue Jays are getting great starting pitching now. A lot better than anybody imagined, and it's Stroman and Sanchez leading the way, and then Happ and Estrada, they're right behind him. Marco's pitching a tough luck.
The part of the team that was the most concerned about going into the season has been the best. The part of the team that was supposed to be the best, there's a ton of concern about in the offense as Tolley takes inside ball 4. Second walk issued by Eovaldi. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s extended his hitting streak. In his first at bat tonight, he doubled. That's a 28-game hitting streak, which means he's halfway there. Joe DiMaggio, 56 games, the all-time record.
How about that? And Jackie Bradley Jr., this has really come out of nowhere. He's always been known for his glove, and now he's become a terrific hitter. Plus, he's producing RBI, as we mentioned, 33 so far.
Here's Bautista. Breaking ball for a strike, 0-1.
Well, the Blue Jays really have to take advantage of the leadoff man, number 9 hitter, Josh Tolley, getting a walk. And that's just what Bautista wants, guys on base. Jose's made some subtle adjustments at the plate, and it's really gotten him going a little bit. He's moved that right leg a little closer to home plate, and now he's looking for more fastballs, really trying to turn and burn on the fastball.
Big hole on the right side with Tolley being held on by Teixeira. The 1-1 lined up the middle, a base hit for Bautista, and the Blue Jays with the first 2 men on here in the 3rd inning. And here's where they have to take advantage. They went 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position in the 2nd inning. We mentioned they've been down near the bottom of the league standings and batting average with runners in scoring position all season long. Can they capitalize here this inning?
This is that slider, and watch how it takes it to the end of the bat. He hits it right off the end of the bat and got a fistful of bees, but he'll take it for a base hit. Small price to pay.
So 2 men on, nobody out, and the batter Josh Donaldson, who after a long at bat grounded out back to the mound his first time up. He's trying to bunt his way aboard. He will get thrown out, but the runners will advance. I don't know if they're going to score that a sacrifice. He was clearly bunting for a base hit, so we'll have to wait and see. They are scoring it a sacrifice. What do you think of the play?
I love the play. And he saw Chase Headley deep at 3rd, and he's always looking around for an opportunity to do something. And he hits it a little bit too hard, but it serves a purpose. Donaldson gets thrown out at first, but he moves the runners up to 2nd and 3rd. Headley makes a nice play, barehanding it and throwing him out at first. But that's the type of play you want to see from the Blue Jays more consistently. Think about the team. How can I help my team get back in this game, get back in this inning, take advantage of a walk and a single?
Now it's up to Encarnacion. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. The Blue Jays down 1-0. And a fastball just misses outside at the knees for ball 1. Tolley the runner at 3rd, Bautista the runner at 2nd. And the 1-0 from Eovaldi.
Now here's where Edwin really has to make the sacrifice by Donaldson pay off. Cash in at least one of these runners. Edwin has 32 RBIs on the season. He's in the top 10. And Donaldson, yeah, he was bunting for a base hit, but at the same time it was an effective play because he moved Josh Tolley up. Bautista followed him into 2nd.
Red Sox, by the way, have upped their lead to 4-1 now on the Rockies, bottom of the 2nd. Here they go again. Late swing and a miss there. Almost looked like Encarnacion was guessing something, got something else, and he was late on that pitch. It's 1-2, and Eovaldi very successful, Buck, this year. First time through the order, not as much afterwards.
Well, and that reflects the fact that all of his pitches are about the same speed. So 2nd time the hitters get a little better timing. 3rd time they're right on everything.
Now he chases in the dirt for out number 2.
2nd time Eovaldi has struck out Encarnacion, and I'm not sure if that was a splitter or a slider, but it was down and away, and it was a good pitch from Eovaldi. It's a split. You can see the grip, and it moves with a little side spin on it, takes it down and away. But he sold it very effectively, and Encarnacion swings way over the top of it.
So with 2 down, here's Saunders. The Blue Jays had 2 men on with 1 out in the 2nd, couldn't score. 2 men on with nobody out here in the 3rd. And still trying to push across their first run of the night. Fouled off left side.
Michael Saunders signed originally with the Seattle Mariners, and he was signed by a great Canadian scout, Wayne Norton. Norton grew up in Winnipeg, spent most of his life in Vancouver. A terrific scout that signed Michael Saunders for the Mariners, and he and Saunders have stayed close over the years. But Wayne Norton, one of the great scouts ever developed in Canada.
0-1. Fastball a little bit inside. Totally down the line at third. Bautista the runner at second. But 2 down now in the inning. Saunders trying to bring in a couple with a base hit. Lays off outside. Ball 2. The Rays won today. They beat the Marlins 4-3 in a day game today. Part of a 2-game or 4-game really home and home series between the two. So the Rays move within a game of 500 at 21-22. Blue Jays 2 games under 500 right now.
Saunders got a good pitch to hit and fouled it straight back. Looked like a hanging splitter. 87 miles an hour. Boy, the Blue Jays have been so desperate for a big hit. Time and time again they get runners on. They stranded 2 last inning. Donaldson used that bunt to put the runners in scoring position, and they need to cash in.
Crowd trying to help out Eovaldi. 2-2, down and in, full count. Well, just tried to overthrow a fastball right there. Missed his spot badly.
Yeah, and that's been the problem, because when he misses, oftentimes he'll miss out over the plate and put himself in harm's way.
Tolley started off the inning with a walk, took second on a base hit by Bautista. They moved up on the bunt by Donaldson. Encarnacion struck out. And now Saunders has popped one in the air to shallow center field. Ellsbury eventually finds it in the twilight, makes the catch, and ends the inning. Another missed opportunity for the Blue Jays.
Trying to catch a game, book a WestJet plus fare. It's more than a seat, it's a premium experience for a smart price. And Dan, a lot of Blue Jay fans here again tonight. WestJet does fly to New York, so I imagine a lot of them took advantage of that WestJet deal.
Barry, thank you. Beautiful shot here as we move into the evening in New York. Dan Shulman to Buck Martinez. The Yankees up on the Blue Jays 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. It'll be Austin Romine, the number 9 hitter, leading off the inning for the Yankees against R.A. Dickey. Romine hitting .250 on the season. First pitch swinging. He's got himself a base hit. Hey, another interesting game out of town. The Mets are playing the Nationals tonight. No score in the 4th inning, which doesn't sound all that interesting, but Matt Harvey, and he's been scuffling, Buck, to say the least. I mean, he has really been struggling. He's thrown 3 shutout innings so far for the Mets. Meanwhile, Steven Strasburg, he's working into the 4th right now, 3 1/3, no hits, no walks. He has struck out 6. He has figured it out.
And he got a new contract that has freed up his mind, and now he's not auditioning for anything. He's not pitching for a new contract. He's got his contract. It looks like it has really relaxed him.
Back to the top of the order for Jacoby Ellsbury. Triple to begin the game. A diving attempt by Jose Bautista in right center. It bounced past him to the wall. Ellsbury was credited with a triple and came in a couple of outs later on a fielder's choice by Carlos Beltran. Rips it foul, and it's 0-2. Meanwhile, look who's here. Big baseball fan John Bon Jovi is here at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, he sure is. And they put his face up on the screen, and all of the fans here in Yankee Stadium recognizing Bon Jovi, of course.
0-2, down and away. We talked about Tolle and the glove you used to catch when you caught a knuckleballer. Most knuckleball pitchers, I don't know if you say, well, there's only 2 of them, Stephen Wright and R.A. Dickey, they have their own glove that they will travel with them in case they get sent to a new team or a new catcher needs it. A swing and a miss, but it's off the glove of Tolle. Ellsbury can't run. Ellsbury's out. But Romine can go to second and will on the pass ball. 2nd of the night, 10th of the season, charged to Tolle.
Yeah, we told you how well that knuckleball is moving, and even somebody as accomplished as Tolle having trouble with it lately. And watch this knuckleball. Not many rotations as it floats toward home plate. Ellsbury misses it, so does Tolle, and it goes back to the screen so Romine can advance. But that's exactly what you want. About 2.5 revolutions by the time it leaves Dickey's hands and it gets to home plate. That generally gets you the best movement.
So runner at second, 1 out for Brett Gardner. Gardner walked in the 1st inning. Yankees come in having won 5 in a row. They are a game under 500. So right now the Blue Jays are alone in the basement in the American League East after the Tampa Bay win earlier today. Both the Rays and the Yankees are a half game ahead of the Blue Jays. Gardner pops one in the air to right center field. Pilar is setting up, and it makes the catch 2 down.
Well, you mentioned the Yankees getting off to this great second half of May. They lost 6 in a row on May 3rd, and since then they have been on fire. 13-6 coming into this game, and they've done it all without Alex Rodriguez, who's on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. What that's done for Joe Girardi, it's freed up Beltran to be the DH. They get a better defensive player in right field than Aaron Hicks.
A-Rod, by the way, is playing a game tonight at AA Trenton. Could be back with the Yankees as soon as tomorrow. Although the way Joe Girardi phrased it, it sounds like they want to give A-Rod a couple of days, so maybe it's not till maybe the Friday series down in Tampa when Alex Rodriguez rejoins the Yankees, but kind of a day-to-day thing right now. Teixeira struck out his first time up, now lines 1 to 3rd, and that's the inning. Leadoff base hit, but nothing more. End of 3, and it's still 1-0 Yankees.
Shop is Canada's largest and only official team shop for your Toronto Blue Jays. New 2016 Authentic Jersey with 40th season sleeve patch now available. Get yours today at jshop.ca. Buck, Dan?
I'll take it, Barry. Thank you very much. Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez. These two guys on the left. The young man on the left, his name is Billy. His buddy in the red is Cooper. They're here with their moms. They live in Bermuda. I know Billy's family. I bumped into Billy and Cooper today in New York City, out in Manhattan. And Billy is here. This is a birthday present, a birthday trip for Billy, whose family used to live in Toronto. Now they live in Bermuda. And they flew from Bermuda to New York to see the Blue Jays today. So I was talking with Billy. As Troy Tulowitzki grounds one up the middle. Gregorius with a nice play for out number one. So I'm talking with Billy, why are you here? And he tells me I'm a big Blue Jay fan and this and that. And then I say my goodbyes and I walk away. And then Cooper, who's younger than Billy, the kid in the red, Cooper comes up and he goes, excuse me. And I said, yeah. And he said, my name is Cooper. My friend's name is Billy. Can you talk about us on TV tonight? And I said, well, I can try. I said, are you his brother? He goes, no, I'm his friend. He brought me on the trip. And I said, oh, that's really cool. I said, are you a Blue Jays fan too? He said, no, I'm a Dodger fan, but he brought me on the trip, so I'm going to root for the Blue Jays tonight.
That's great. What a great birthday present. Yeah. Two young guys having a time of their life here at the Yankee Stadium.
Paredes takes a strike. I want to sign up to be Billy and Cooper. Like,
yeah, live in Bermuda and fly in to see
seriously.
a Yankee game.
I don't know if those moms want 2 more kids, but Buck and I are volunteering. Here's their reaction after Tulowitzki's thrown out. Oh, man.
No way. I agree with you.
Cooper's doing a pretty good job rooting for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, he's smart. He wants to go on a next trip, too.
Paredes walked his first time up. Two balls, 2 strikes. And Valdi frustrated with his inability to put away a hitter there on a 1-2 pitch. You got to think about Yankee games differently than other games because of the strength at the end of their bullpen. There's a swing and a miss for out number 2. In his last start, here's how Joe Girardi plays it sometimes. Valdi gave up a bloop double to the leadoff batter that he faced in his last start. That was against Arizona. Then he retired 18 in a row. So he's through 6 innings. He's given up 1 hit. He's thrown 85 pitches. He's out of the game. Betances, Miller, Chapman.
Yeah. And it was Gene Segura who got the bloop double to start the game, and then he retired the next 16 straight over 6 innings, and he was done. And Joe Girardi said, I'd like to get my starters deeper in the game, but I got those 3 guys down in the bullpen, and if I don't pitch them, they're going to criticize me for not pitching them, and if I pitch them, I'm pitching them too much. It's a good problem to have.
Yep.
Boy, they have really done a great job since Chapman has come back to join the team. He started the season on a suspension.
Came back May the 9th.
Yeah, you're right. You have to play games differently with the Yankees and that 3-headed monster in their bullpen. You got to scratch and claw, try to be even at least, if not ahead, by the time you get to the 7th.
1-2 the count on Kevin Pillar. 2 outs and the bases empty. Shot to second, but a nice catch there by Castro, and that'll end the inning. So the Blue Jays go in order. Going to bottom 4 is still 1-0 Yankees.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for more details. Dan, got it right.
Well done, Barry. If at first you don't succeed. Bottom of the fourth. Yankees 1 and the Blue Jays nothing. Beltran, Ackley, and Castro against Dickey. The only run of the game coming back in the bottom of the first. An Ellsbury triple and a Beltran fielder's choice. Beltran is closing in on a pretty impressive milestone. He is 3 hits away from 2,500 in his career. He is 2 hits away from 2,500 in his career, and it's 2-0 Yankees.
Beltran, his 10th home run of the season. We mentioned he's been on fire. He was a 9 for 18 in the Oakland series, and he drives in both Yankee runs, and this is that floater. He just stayed out over the plate, and that's the problem with this short porch and right. He hit it a ton. It was going to be out of most ballparks, but he's got that pull swing down at for this ballpark.
And the home run ball bites Dickey again. It's the 95th home run he has given up since becoming a Blue Jay at the outset of the 2013 season. Nobody in baseball has given up more. And they say solo shots can't beat you. He's given up a lot of homers. He can pitch a really good game, but give up 2-3 homers and wind up on the wrong end of things.
Last time out, he had back-to-back solo shots.
Yep.
Logan Morrison and Desmond Jennings.
Ackley into center, but Pilar is there for out number 1.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Back at Yankee Stadium, 2-0 now. The Yankees over the Blue Jays after the home run by Beltran. Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez. Starlin Castro was the batter. He struck out his first time up. I think most people feel, Buck, that Carlos Beltran is going to be a Hall of Famer. That with the power, the speed, the RBIs, the October production that he's had over the course of his career, that he's bound for Cooperstown.
Yeah, and the defensive skills as well. And he got the ultimate endorsement from a Hall of Famer, Reggie Jackson, when he said this past week that Beltran is a Hall of Famer. 402 home runs now, and you mentioned he's just 2 hits shy of 2,500 for his career. Started out with the Kansas City Royals, and then he had a great postseason run with Houston. Parlayed that into a great contract with the Mets. Put some time in St. Louis, and he is finishing up here in New York and finishing up very strong.
What he did, big swing and a miss there by Castro. It's 3-2. What Beltran did that year in the playoffs with Houston might be the closest thing we've seen from a hitter's perspective as to what Bumgarner did for the Giants in the postseason in 2014. Beltran was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. This is chopped. And Edwin steps on the bag, but you go back to that Houston series. He was in the NLDS for Houston against Atlanta. He went 10 for 22, hit 4 home runs in the LDS, and then hit 4 more home runs in the championship series against the Cardinals. And unfortunately, the Astros lost that series. But combined, he had 20 hits, 8 home runs, and 14 RBIs in the 2 series.
Amazing.
Turned that into a great contract.
Chase Headley, the batter, grounded out his first time up. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Yankees. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for the Blue Jays. Yankees batting in the bottom of the 4th. Waving at the knuckleball is Headley. It's a ball and a strike. Dickey working quickly, ready to go as Headley steps out for a moment to try to slow him down. In with a strike, 1-2.
You know, once again, you talk about Dickey, and yeah, he gives up home runs from time to time. If the Blue Jays were scoring runs like they normally do, it wouldn't be such a concern because he's pitched pretty well over his last 6 or 7 starts.
Popped up, back of third. Donaldson drifting out, makes the catch. And the inning is over. Another run for the Yankees. They're up 2-0 at the end of 4. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Will survive an X-Men apocalypse in theaters everywhere May 27th. And a reminder to fans, tonight's Blue Jays game is available with live described video for our blind and low vision audience. AMI TV Rogers 888 allows you to enjoy the game with this added accessible feature. A great way for everyone to enjoy Blue Jays baseball, Dan.
Barry, thank you. Top of the 5th here on a nice night at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees leading the Blue Jays 2-0. 8-9-1. Darwin Barney, Josh Thole, and Jose Bautista against Nathan Eovaldi as Barney takes the strike. Barney grounded out to third his first time up. Blue Jays got a 1-out base hit from Troy Tulowitzki in the second. And they got a base hit with a man on and nobody out from Jose Bautista in the third. But again, unable to cash in. They are 0 for 4 tonight with runners in scoring position as a season-long problem continues. 0-2 is upstairs.
And John Gibbons has tried to address it by shaking up the lineup, putting guys in different spots in the order, just trying to see if that combination might turn something on.
Swing and a miss for out number 1. Third strikeout of the night for Eovaldi.
Well, Eovaldi's been able to get that splitter down and away. And this is another good one. You can see that tumbling action. It almost has a spinning action to it, but watch how it goes under the bat. The arm action suggests fastball, but then that grip takes the velocity off of the fastball and makes it a very effective breaking pitch.
Here's Josh Thole. Walked to lead off the third, got as far as third, was stranded there. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Now the best way to put together a winning streak is to have good solid starting pitching 1 through 5 in the rotation. The Yankees have had that in their last 5 games. Blue Jays of course have had that for much of the season. Once Dickey got in a groove and had 3 or 4 good ones, their starting pitching going round and round the rotation was about as good as anybody's. But the offense and at times the bullpen has held them back. Good news for teams like the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Swing and a miss, 2 down. Although maybe it's not such good news anymore. The Orioles are playing well and the Red Sox are playing really well right now. And if a team like the Blue Jays, Buck, if this 12-game stretch, you talked about it in the open, Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Red Sox. we may know a lot more about the prospects for this team this year 2 weeks from now than we do right now. If they fall 9, 10, 11 games back of the Red Sox, that's a lot to make up.
Yeah, it sure is a lot to make up. And when you look at it, the Blue Jays have played 24 games against the East coming into this game tonight. The next highest total, Tampa Bay, has played 21. The Yankees, this is just their 16th game of the season against an AL East rival. So the Blue Jays have actually had a very tough schedule. So if they can reel off some games in these next 12, that could make up some ground.
Eovaldi has set down 8 in a row since a base hit by Bautista back in the 3rd. Back to the mound. Eovaldi has it, and the inning is over. They go 3 up, 3 down again. Eovaldi cruising right now, going to the bottom of the 5th.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Welcome back to New York. Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez, a 2-0 lead for the Yankees over the Blue Jays. Opening game of a 3-game series between these division rivals. And a fair number of Blue Jay fans around the ballpark tonight. You were here last year. Late August, I think it was, that 4-game series. There was a day-night doubleheader because of an earlier rainout. Felt like a home game for the Blue Jays at that point. There's a broken back ground ball to the right side. Encarnacion throws a little bit behind Dickey, who recovers and makes a nice play to record the out.
Edwin, just making his 11th start, has made a couple of good plays here tonight, and that one was a little bit behind Dickey. He appreciated the effort by the former Gold Glove winner. He ranges to his right, Edwin does, and then Dickey's got to get over there quickly, and it's a foot race. And watch how the throw is a little bit behind R.A., but he's under control, and he has the balance to reach back behind him and make the catch. Edwin's moving around very effectively. This is just the 11th start at first base for Edwin.
Nice play by Dickey, reaching behind him. Here's Romine. A base hit for him his first time up. Brian McCann, the everyday catcher for the Yankees, does not have good numbers against Dickey. He gets the night off tonight. Some managers will try to shield some of their regulars from a knuckleballer in case it messes up their timing and their rhythm. Romine grounds out 2 down.
Cedar Gaston always did that with the Blue Jays in the early 90s. He would never let John Olerud face Charlie Huff down in Texas. He felt like it could impact a hitter's stroke for 3 or 4 days. So he just made sure that he didn't match up some of the regulars if he had the luxury of giving them a day off.
2 quick outs on a ground outs here in the 5th inning, and back to the top of the order for Ellsbury, who has tripled and scored and struck out. One of 4 strikeouts tonight for Dickey. Hit deep but foul down the right side. Red Sox still in the lead. It's now 4-2 over the Rockies as the Rockies bat on the top of the 4th. Home plate umpire James Hoy says Ellsbury did commit, and it's 0-2. We mentioned the Rays beat Miami 4-3. Baltimore's in Houston. No score, bottom of the 1st.
That's a fair ball.
Tolley up with it and down to first for the out. 6 pitches, 3 outs, inning over. End of 5, 2-0 Yankees, 2-3-4. Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Saunders coming up for the Blue Jays.
Continues tonight. The Huskies go up against Mitch Marner and the Knights. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 360. Dan, Mitch Marner, a part of what the Maple Leafs hope is a huge return to success for that organization. As you know, fans are starved for some success with the Leafs.
Yeah, last I saw, this was going into the Memorial Cup. He had scored 44 points in 18 playoff games. And you're right, Barry. The Maple Leaf fans awfully excited about that, winning the draft lottery, hoping some of the excitement they have actually is because of on the ice things that happen for the Maple Leafs next year. But there's such a good young crop of players coming that the future appears to be pretty bright. Here's Josh Donaldson. He is grounded out and then had a sacrifice. He was trying to bunt for a base hit with runners at first and second, nobody out. That much was clear, but still credited with the sacrifice to move the runners. 1 ball, 1 strike. Evaldi's given up 2 hits. He has walked 2, and he has struck out 5.
Now this is where he has trouble working his way through the lineup for a 3rd time. Bautista tapped back to the mound the 3rd time Bautista faced Evaldi. See if the Blue Jays can't get something going against them. The Yankee bullpen is quiet as we speak.
You wonder if he gets through this inning with the lead, if Joe Girardi makes the same kind of move that he did in the last start against Arizona and says, you know what, I got the 3 big guys down there. May as well use them when you have a lead. They had an off day yesterday, so they're rested. Yesterday was the only off day in 41 days for the Yankees. Played 20 games in 20 days, 1 off day, and then played 20 games in 20 days.
And that's the limit to the number of games you can play consecutively by rule, so they are really being taxed. And of course, Girardi's team is an older team, and that wears on you a bit when you have to play every single day.
3-2. You know, at times you would think Joe Girardi would say, well, maybe if I can get 1 more inning out of my starter, I can use 2 of them, and I can hold 1 of these big relievers back for tomorrow in case I need him then, and we have a lead then. It's kind of a daily decision-making process that Girardi goes through based on a number of factors. Wouldn't be a shock, though, to see Evaldi lifted after this inning. Routine ground ball to short. 10 in a row set down.
Well, the one thing about saving guys for tomorrow's game, and Joe Girardi told me specifically that around the cage. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I got a game tonight that I could win. And if it takes all three of those guys down in my bullpen, I'm going to use them. Then you assess what you have after the game.
Edwin Encarnacion, the battery, has struck out twice. On the appeal, he didn't go. A 100 miles an hour on that fastball. He missed with it, but that's the hardest pitch he's thrown tonight. .99 at the knees, 2-1.
It's really interesting, and Eovaldi's not 6'7", 6'8". I mean, he's got, you know, a nice physique for a pitcher, but boy, he generates a lot of arm speed, and that's what creates that great velocity. Good balance through his delivery.
Slider misses down and away for ball 3.
The thing he has in common with one of the greats, Nolan Ryan, they both grew up in Alvin, Texas. And of course, that's the home of Nolan Ryan. And growing up, Eovaldi saw nothing but Nolan Ryan all over town.
7 no-hitters, right?
He wore number 30 as well.
I guess if you're from Alvin, Texas, you kind of have to, don't you? Like, good luck to the shortstop from Kalamazoo who doesn't wear number 2 when he makes it to the majors.
Well, if you throw hard and come from Alvin, you certainly have to wear number 30.
Michael Saunders hoping or waiting on deck after Encarnacion. 3-2, swinging at another ground ball. Headley with plenty of time. 2 down.
Save during Canada's Color Expert Sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Welcome back to New York. Specifically, we are here in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. 2-0. The Yankees lead the Blue Jays top of the 6th. I don't think we have to call it the new Yankee Stadium anymore. It's been around for a few years. Of course, they remodeled Yankee Stadium back in the mid-70s, right? 74, 75? Is that right? Or 70?
No, it opened up in 76 after 2 years. We played all the games over at Shea Stadium.
Think about that. For 2 years, the Yankees played every home game at Shea Stadium.
Yeah. And they were on the road the whole year. Obviously, they lived here in the Yankee Stadium, but we played in Shea.
So you played at Yankee Stadium before it was remodeled, right?
Right. And you talk about a big ballpark.
So left center, which is now $3.99, and that's deep. When you played, I think I know what the monuments were in play.
Monuments were in dead center. They were in play.
Yeah.
And I believe it was 427 to center. It was 407 to the scoreboard in right center.
It was big.
It was huge.
Fly ball left center. Inning over. Blue Jays go 3 up and 3 down for the 3rd inning in a row.
It's time for you to show us your Blue Jays spirit. Enter the TD Comfort Zone contest by posting a video or photo of you, tagging at Blue Jays and including hashtag TD Tuesday on Twitter or Instagram for a chance to win. Full contest rules and details available by visiting bluejays.com/comfort zone. Dan?
Hi, Barry. Thank you. Welcome back to the Bronx. 2-0 the Yankees over the Blue Jays, bottom of the 6th. Along with Buck Martinez, you just heard Barry Davis. I'm Dan Schulman. The Yankees on the strength of some good pitching from Nathan Eovaldi, a home run from Carlos Beltran, a leadoff triple, and Jacoby Ellsbury eventually scoring. They've got a 2-0 lead. Brett Gardner leads off the inning and takes a knee-high strike from R.A. Dickey. After Gardner, it'll be Mark Teixeira and Carlos Beltran. We talked about Matt Harvey and Steven Strasburg, that Mets-Nats game that's going on in Washington. Well, Harvey was doing well through 3, but now it's the bottom of the 5th, and the Nationals have a 5-1 lead. Anthony Rendon and former Matt Harvey teammate Daniel Murphy have homered in the game. The struggles continue for Matt Harvey. Terry Collins did not commit right away after Harvey's last start, Buck, for Harvey to start tonight. They did start him tonight, but you have to wonder if he's going to make his next start.
Yeah, and there are several red flags. His velocity's down on his breaking ball. He doesn't have the same command, and you know, he had a lot of innings last year, and that was the big controversy in the postseason. When should you shut Harvey down?
Strike 3 called. Gardner in disbelief.
Well, that ball gets into the zone and then disappears and goes down and away. Again, watch the revolutions of the baseball. Not many as it goes toward home, and had that late move off the plate. But home plate umpire James Hoy saw it as a strike.
Strikeout number 5 for Dickey on the night. You got Mark Teixeira back in the first. Teixeira's also lined out. Cubs have now opened up an 8-0 lead in their game against St. Louis, and the Red Sox just keep adding on. They're up 6-2 now on Colorado. David Ortiz doubled in 2 more runs. So tonight he is 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs, and is that now the major league lead in RBIs with 41?
Yes, he passed Cano. 2 for 3, 4 RBIs.
Wow.
What a season he's put together. Tell you what, if you want to go out on top, take it in your own hands.
Yep. 3-1 to Teixeira. Back-to-back fastballs in for called strikes, and it's 3-2.
Teixeira had an infield single on Sunday in Oakland to snap an 0 for 19. He has really been struggling.
3 fastballs in a row taken for strikes. 2 down. Drive of the game is brought to you by the all-new Honda Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Carlos Beltran got an RBI in the first inning and then stepped to the plate to lead off the 4th. It connects for a long home run into the second deck in right. Career home run number 402. The hit number 2,498, as he's just 2 hits shy of 2,500 hits for his career. This is his 19th season, and he has had a terrific career. Beltran was the Rookie of the Year with the Kansas City Royals in 1999.
Dickey out in front, 0-2. Yankees so reliant upon older players, whether it's Beltran, Teixeira, A-Rod when he comes back, Sabathia. Swing and a miss. Dickey elevates a fastball and he strikes out the side. 7 strikeouts now for R.A. Dickey. Blue Jays need some offense. is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Dellin Betances is warming up, but Nathan Eovaldi will start the 7th inning. Any hint of trouble, Joe Girardi will make the move. There has not been a lot of trouble lately at all. Eovaldi has retired 12 in a row. Blue Jays have not had a base runner since a single by Jose Bautista way back in the 3rd. It'll be Tulowitzki, Paredes, and Pilar here in the 7th. Just 2 singles for the Blue Jays tonight. Tulowitzki has one of those base hits. He's also grounded out. Check swing foul off 0-2.
You have to believe it is very comforting for a Yankee starting pitcher with pitching with the lead in the 7th, knowing, okay, I'm just going to give it everything I have, and if I get into trouble, there's a huge parachute down there for me in the bullpen. He's got a lot of protection in that bullpen now, and you really have to be able to pitch with confidence late in the game when you've got the lead.
The Yankees' record when leading after 8 innings is 20-0. Their record when leading after 7 innings is 20-0, and their record when leading after 6 innings is 16-1. It's about as good as it gets.
It sure is, and that's something that's universal in baseball now, as managers are just trying to figure out how to shorten the games and beef up their bullpen. And instead of trying to bang your head against the door and say, okay, well, we got to get our starters to go deep, just try to get as good a bullpen as you can get somebody that can give you 6 innings every night, and then unload the bullpen.
Well, just compare this. We mentioned the Yankees are 20-0 when they're leading after 7. The Blue Jays are 15-4 when they're leading after 7. You turn 4 losses into wins, and the situation looks a lot different for the Blue Jays than it does right now. Tulowitzki with a leadoff walk. And that's going to be it. Joe Girardi's out, and he's made the move.
Well, and it's a 2-run game, so the next man that steps to the plate represents a tying run. So if Eovaldi pitches himself into a situation for the win, he's won his last 4 decisions, and now he cannot lose this one as he departs with nobody out and the man on.
The chance is on his way in. If the Blue Jays are going to win it, they're going to have to do it against some tough customers. There has never been a bullpen with 3 arms with the firepower that the New York Yankees have this year. Dellin Betances has struck out 40 in 20 1/3. Andrew Miller is virtually unhittable. And oh yeah, Aroldis Chapman, the closer, he's only pitched 7 innings. He has struck out 9 batters so far. This is about as difficult a task as there is in baseball.
Well, when all 3 of these relievers pitch in the same game, the Yankees are 5-0. They pitched a total of 15 1/3 and racked up 27 strikeouts when all three of these relievers pitch in the same game. Not that the dance is unhittable against the Blue Jays. They have a blown save charge to him, but when you add up the numbers for these three relievers against the Blue Jays, 52 1/3 innings pitched, 74 strikeouts.
So Joe Girardi, after the leadoff walk to Tulowitzki, lifts Eovaldi. Here's Betances to face Jimmy Paredes. He has walked and struck out. Shift on, 3 on the right side for the Yankees. And Headley crowding a bit on the edge of the grass at third. Swing and a miss.
Crossed him up with the first pitch breaking ball. Paredes was hard charging, hoping to get a fastball. Paredes 0 for 2 against the big righty.
You know, you think you get a break. You've seen 98 to 100 as the starter. Here comes 98-99 from a 6'8" right-hander. The 8th inning, if it goes according to plan for the Yankees, is a 6'7" lefty who throws about 96 with his nastiest slider, a Randy Johnson type slider, and then the hardest thrower in baseball, up to 103, in Chapman, comes in for the 9th.
Yeah, it used to be the saying from the hitters, hey, let's get into their bullpen. Now they just kind of whisper it.
Yeah. Here's something you never hear Joe Girardi say. Maybe I'll just mix and match things in the late innings. He just throws those 3 guys out there against whoever's coming up. Paredes strikes out.
Wicked breaking ball from a tough angle, as Dan mentioned. Betances is 6'8". Creates a very difficult angle for hitters. Everything is coming down from high to low, and then he gets on top of that breaking ball, and it's nearly unhittable. Got to start your swing when a guy throws 98. So Paredes with 2 strikes got it going, but that breaking ball bounced in the dirt.
Here's Kevin Pillar, 0 for 2, and the slider misses inside for ball 1. Tying run at the plate with 1 out here in the 7th inning. Just 2 lonely base hits for the Blue Jays tonight. They've left 4 men on, 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd. Popped up and down the right field line, back out of play. Justin Smoke is out in the on-deck circle to bat for Darwin Barney. Barney's still on the top step. He's got a bat in his hands.
Well, obviously, if there's a double play, you will keep Barney in the game, and he'll play second base. So that's why he's still there, just standing by in case. Took Betances a while to really get command of his pitches. The Yankees waited on him a long time, but boy, they've been patient, and their patience has paid off.
Runner is going, and the pitch is dropped by Romine, a stolen base for Troy Tulowitzki, his first of the season. And you know what? When you're not generating any offense, why not try some things?
Absolutely, and that breaking ball is a good breaking ball count. If he throws it, chances are to be in the dirt. So Tulowitzki got a good jump and takes second base with his first bag of the season. Well, this is the kind of game you're in now. Right now, you get a runner in scoring position, you'll take a flare anywhere just to get a run home. You're never going to string a whole lot of hits together against this bullpen.
Two and two the count. Check swing by Pillar, and the appeal, he didn't go, and the count is full.
Kevin Pillar does a great job of checking his swing, and from the side, he may have been called for a strike. That was borderline, but Blue Jays get the benefit of the call. It's a full count now.
Tulowitzki trying to stay loose out at second. Full count pitch. Breaking ball swung on and hit to deep left field. Gardner is back, still racing back, makes the catch. In just about every ballpark in baseball, that's a home run to that part of the park, but it is deep here at Yankee Stadium, and the ballpark held it.
And that's the beauty of having speed in left and center here at Yankee Stadium for the Yankees. Brett Gardner has played center field, and watch how he just utilizes his speed. That ball kept carrying, took him all the way to the warning track. I don't think he expected it to go this far, and look at the Blue Jays in the bullpen. They thought that had a chance to get out, but Gardner makes the catch right up against the wall in left.
Where he caught that ball, the wall's probably about 390. At Rogers Center, it's 375. Instead of a great catch on the warning track, that's a home run there. And here is Smoke to bat for Barney.
Well, you get a big left-handed bat up in this situation. One swing of the bat, he can tie it up.
Smoke having a solid season, getting on base a lot. Getting a chance to play a lot. Not in the starting lineup tonight. Pinch hits against Betances. And takes a slider for a strike, 1-1. Batting for the left side against the right-hander Betances. Short porch in right here at Yankee Stadium. Fastball late, strike call by James Hoy, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, borderline pitch on the outside corner. Certainly not something Smoke wanted to swing at, but now he's got to expand his zone.
Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. 2 strikeouts and a deep fly ball, and the Blue Jays leave another man on. They're now 0 for 6 tonight with runners in scoring position, and they're still down 2-0.
game in the U.S. like these folks are, you can share all of your experiences as they happen with friends and fans back home. With Roam Like Home from Rogers, you can use your phone exactly as you do at home, starting at $5 a day in the U.S. Go to Rogers.com/roamlikehome for details. Dan, the Blue Jays sure wish Yankee Stadium was like home. This would have been a tie game.
Yeah, I think without question on that fly ball off the bat of Pilar, but Betances also getting a couple of strikeouts. He did his job. Andrew Miller's now up in the pen. Going bottom 7, still 2-0 Yankees in the opening game of the 3-game series. R.A. Dickey back on the mound for the Blue Jays. One change for Toronto. After Barney left for the pinch hitter Smoke. It's Russell Martin at second base for the Blue Jays, not Ryan Goins. Goins is in at short. Tulowitzki, after stealing the base, even though there wasn't a throw and he stole it standing up, he was kind of flexing his right leg a little bit. Might have been the hamstring, so that's a concern. So Goins at short, Russell Martin at second.
Barney was lifted in favor of the pinch hitter Smoke, so John Gibbons had to juggle things up, and Russell Martin is playing at second base, and now they're going to put Goins out in shallow right. The shortstop will go out there, and Goins is more familiar with this position than Russell Martin would be.
Dickey working into the bottom of the 7th. Dustin Ackley leads it off and takes outside, ball 1. Pitch comes in low, and it's ball 2. After Ackley, it'll be Starlin Castro, Chase Headley. So Andrew Miller working in the Yankee pen, nobody throwing in the Blue Jays pen. Goins, Dickey covering, not in time. That'll be a base hit.
Ackley saw the play develop right in front of him as he was running up the baseline and knew it was a foot race between he and R.A. Dickey. Encarnacion dives for this ball. Edwin has played well tonight in the field, but he can't make a play on this. Goins is there, and now it's up to Dickey to get to the bag, and Ackley beats him. Ackley stepped squarely on the base before R.A. came down on the base.
Meanwhile, Troy Tulowitzki did slide, although there was no throw. Grimaced a little, and then when he got back to second base as the play continued, eventually started flexing. I think it was the right leg. There it is there. Just did that 2 or 3 times. That's all you saw, but feeling something in that leg, and that was enough to take him out of the game.
So R.A. Dickey is going to get a visit from Goins right now, just to help him regroup after that sprint over to the bag. And he wants to make sure he can throw a couple because he crashed hard on his right leg trying to retire Ackley. Wants to throw a couple of pitches just to make sure. And now the training staff is going to come out and check on him. So Dickey kind of went into a slide and hit his right knee on the base at first. And then after that, just kind of asked if he could throw a couple of pitches. Joe Biagini loosening up quickly for the Blue Jays.
Dickey appears to be okay.
He hustled over there, and as he got to the base, he knew it was going to be close. So you can see now. Watch how he goes into a slide and lands hard on that base, and appeared to hit his right knee on the first base bag as he slid trying to retire Ackley.
So Dickey okay. Castro the batter. Castro 0 for 2 tonight. A strikeout and a ground out. Leadoff man aboard for the Yankees here in the 7th. And every run so precious when the Blue Jays know they have to deal with the likes of Miller and Chapman in the next couple of innings. Ground ball weakly hit to short. Charged by Goins. Only play to first.
Well, what a test for a guy that just comes off the bench defensively, Ryan Goins. He's a natural shortstop and become one of the best defenders the Blue Jays have. I think it's a tough test right off the bat. That little slow roller towards short. Donaldson wasn't going to get over to cut it off, and Goins is the only man that can make a play. Got a catch and fire all in one motion. He did it perfectly.
So Goins has been out in shallow right with the shift on. Then he had to charge a slow roller at short. Now he's back out in right field again with the shift on again. Playing the infield is not quite as simple, although it was never simple. Not quite as simple as it used to be. I mean, take a Donaldson or a Machado, although he's playing some short now. But even when you play third in the majors right now, you're playing short half the time, or you might be over in right field part of the time.
Yeah, there's always changes with the hitter coming up, different shifts.
Russell Martin has a play. 2 down, Ackley to third.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Russell Martin, appearing in his 4th game at second base, handled that grounder with ease.
Important run for the Blue Jays to strand here as Didi Gregorius steps in and takes high, ball 1. And again, you focus a little bit on Josh Thole, runner at third. 2 down here, catching the knuckleball. 2 pass balls tonight. They can ill afford to allow another run to score.
I got to tell you, having been in this situation before, when you're battling a knuckleball and you know that guy's just 90 feet away, you have a tendency to tense up, and that's the last thing you want to do. Try to keep your hand as relaxed as possible. Kirby Yates, the right-hander, has joined Andrew Miller, the lefty.
It's interesting. I would have to think the Yankees would need a couple more runs before they would go to Yates, the way their formula works. Four-pitch walk.
Interesting situation here with John Gibbons. Looks like he wants to say something to Thole. They've got Biagini down in that pen, and runs are so hard to come by for the Blue Jays. Wonder if John's thinking about making a pitching change here. But he has to know if Dickey is okay. I think that's what the question was there. Everybody went to the mound to make sure he's okay, but after that injury, or the fact that he had to regroup a little bit, he threw 4 straight balls to Gregorius.
So first and third, 2 down. See if the Yankees try to take a base here and maybe hope that there's no throw down to second, or if there is, that Ackley can scamper home. Romine, the number 9 hitter, is the batter. And it wouldn't be surprising to see the Yankees put something on the base pass here to try to steal a run.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays can't afford to make a throw to second. You just can't take that chance. They're already down by 2.
Short lead by Gregorius. Draws a throw.
Gregorius only has 1 stolen base, but they might start him just to see how the Blue Jays would react.
And remember, it's Thole catching, and Martin is out at second base. He would be taking the throw. Never mind. Into right field, a base hit, fair ball. 1 run is home. Ground rule double as it skips up into the seats, and that might be a break for the Blue Jays. Gregorius has to stop at third, but it's 3-0 Yankees.
Obviously a big hit by Roman. He's got 2 hits tonight against Dickey, but that's the final nail in the coffin for R.A. Dickey. John Gibbons comes out and makes the call to the bullpen, and you just wonder if Dickey didn't really injure himself or just kind of knocked himself out of whack when he slid into the bag at first. He walked Gregorius on 4 pitches and gives up an RBI double.
So that's all for Dickey. The rookie right-hander Joe Biagini will take over here for the Jays. R.A. Dickey, of course, the offense didn't help him out at all. Very upset with the way this last inning went. He pitched well.
He has pitched well lately, that's for sure. A frustrating ending to his outing, and he'll turn things over to Joe Biagini. Biagini will make his 13th appearance of the season. This will be his first appearance ever against the New York Yankees, so they don't know much about him. And for my mind, he needs to take advantage of that, be very aggressive, and come right at him.
Guy who has worked himself into higher leverage situations with the Blue Jays with some of the issues some of the other relievers are having. Second and third, 2 down, 3-0 Yankees. Jacoby Ellsbury tripled and scored in the first. He's also struck out and grounded out. Miller and Yates both still up in the pen for the Yankees. You get the feeling if the Yankees don't score any more runs, it's Miller. But if they do, it's Yates.
Yeah, that's how you conserve innings for the big three. Kirby Yates getting a chat from Mike Harkey, the bullpen coach. Rob Thompson and Joe Girardi discussing their options here.
Pilar shallow in center and over towards left center against Ellsbury, who pulls it foul over near the first base dugout, and it's 0-2.
Well, that's how you pitch to a team that hasn't seen you before. Throw them a lot of strikes. Especially a veteran team like the Yankees. They like to get as much information as they can against a new pitcher.
Bounces in a breaking ball.
Boy, Biagini has been a very pleasant surprise, never having pitched above Double-A in the Giants organization, and he has stepped to this bullpen. We mentioned this is his 13th appearance. The league is hitting just 200 against him.
Picked up a save in his last outing in Minnesota in that extra inning game, the opening game of the series. Inside, ball 2.
Biagini is naturally a starter. He started throughout his minor league career before coming to the Blue Jays, but boy, has he picked up on being a reliever very, very quickly.
And you think maybe he's eventually a starter for the Blue Jays next year or beyond?
I do. He's got all the pitches.
Curveball low, full count.
He's got the big body too, one that'll hold up over the long haul of a 32, 33 start season. He doesn't have to give in to Ellsbury here. It's a full count. You got a base open. Make a good pitch.
Stranding inherited runners has been a season-long problem for this Blue Jay bullpen. 2 on right now. Goins, long throw, not in time, and a run scores. Ellsbury just with too much speed, and he beats it out.
Hit it into the perfect spot. Goins had to backhand it and got rid of it as quickly as he could, but not nearly in time to get Ellsbury. Ryan Goins has just entered the game defensively. He's made a couple of good plays already. Pops to his feet very quickly, but Ellsbury simply outruns it at first, and the extra run comes in. Now it's a 4-0 lead for New York. Another inherited run coming across.
The Blue Jays have allowed 43% of inherited runners to score this season. That is the worst in the American League. It's been better in May than it was in April, but boy, it still seems like it's really costing them. I mean, this one may have been over no matter what happened here with that play. But there have been so many times where a reliever has come in, say, in a tie game and given up an extra hit, some extra runs that belong to the starter. And with the offense just not generating a lot of offense, Blue Jays are losing a lot of close games.
Again, if you're scoring 5.5 runs a game, it doesn't magnify the ineffectiveness of the bullpen. And right now, because you're not scoring many runs, every run is crucial.
Red Sox still leading Colorado 7-2. Boston batting in the bottom of the 6th. The Rays won. The Orioles and the Astros are scoreless in the 5th in Houston. And Miller no longer throwing. So with the extra run, it will be Yates. But don't be surprised if Yates gets in any trouble if Miller gets right back up. In the air to shallow left field, and Saunders makes the play that finally ends the inning. 2 big tack-on runs though for the Yankees. End of 7. They're now up 4-0. Spots for the Blue Jays tonight, but remember our buddies Billy and Cooper? Cooper got a baseball from Michael Saunders. It pays to have a Blue Jay cap on the road and have some pretty good seats. This is working out pretty well for these guys.
It sure is. What a birthday trip this has been for these 2 youngsters. Billy on the left, that's his birthday, and he had a great trip here, and now he gets a souvenir baseball for his pal.
Kirby Yates out of the bullpen for the Yankees, a guy who was designated for assignment twice within a week in November, once by Tampa Bay, once by Cleveland. And Buck, look at these numbers. He's done a nice job for the Yankees.
Well, he sure has, and you know what? You can really kind of lurk in the shadows of those 3 big relievers down there. Come out and pitch with a lot of confidence, and chances are if you do get yourself in trouble, they're going to bail you out. Aaron Hicks has come in defensively in right field, taking over for Carlos Beltran. Dustin Ackley. Of course, Beltran is DHing again tonight.
So we go top 8, 4-0 Yankees. Josh Tolley leads it off for the Blue Jays. He has walked and struck out. Blue Jays have used 3 of their 4 available bench players already, including Russell Martin. Martin had to go out and play second because Goins had to play short. Tulowitzki came out of the game with what looked like a leg injury. Barney was lifted for a pinch hitter. So Ezekiel Carrera is the only guy left on the Blue Jay bench right now. And after Tolley, it'll be Bautista and Donaldson. Martin, by the way, is batting in Tulowitzki's spot in the 5 spot. Goins is batting in Barney's spot in the 8 hole. Fly ball shallow left, 1 down.
R.A. Dickey was the starter for the Blue Jays tonight, and he should have fared much better than this line would suggest. He pitches into the 7th. Gives up 4 earned runs. The first run of the ball game came on a ball that got by Bautista, who dove for it in right. Jacoby Ellsbury led off the game with a triple for the Yankees that came in to score the first run. Then he gave up a home run to Carlos Beltran, and R.A. Dickey really didn't pitch all that badly, despite the fact that in the end he will be charged with 4 earned runs.
Bautista 1 for 3, had a base hit back in the third. Bautista and Tulowitzki each with singles, the only 2 hits that the Blue Jays have tonight. Eovaldi terrific for 6. Betances worked the 7th. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, we'll bring you the Blue Jays and Yankees again. Marco Estrada for Toronto and Ivan Nova on the mound for the Yankees. And a strike, 3-1. Bautista's 5th game as the leadoff hitter. Had a lot of success in the 4 games against the Twins leading off. 3 home runs in those 4 games, 1 of them to lead off a ball game. Takes inside ball 4.
Well, the fact of the matter is the Blue Jays have 2 hits, and you're not going to win too many games when you have 2 hits. You can see the Blue Jays, they're 0-20 this season when allowing 4 or more runs, and they've allowed 4 runs tonight, and they trail by 4. But they're just not getting many hits.
Josh Donaldson the batter, and you would think 1 more base runner and Joe Girardi probably makes a move. Miller's back up and throwing in the bullpen.
This is exactly the reason a guy like Kirby Yates can have good numbers. He can walk Bautista, and then maybe if he gives up a base hit to Donaldson, then you go to Miller, and his numbers stay pretty good.
Not a lot of inherited runners scoring in the late innings against the Yankees. Not a lot of runners. Popped up in foul territory. Will there be a play? There will for Headley. 2 down.
Joe Girardi gets a lot of criticism for using his big 3 all the time, but here's a perfect example. You got Kirby Yates there, and he's trying to get Yates through the 8th inning. But if he lets another base runner on, he's going to have to go to Miller. And he just managed according to what the game tells you.
Yep. Miller was the first one up because it was 2-0. And then as the Yankees started to get some men on and threaten, then Yates got up. When it got to 4-0, Miller sat down. So Miller got hot, as they say, but may or may not come into the game. It probably depends on what Encarnacion does here.
Well, if Encarnacion reaches, they're not going to let Yates pitch to Saunders.
Great. And if Yates gets out of this, Miller could still work the 9th, and Chapman may not pitch. 1-1.
Which makes a lot of sense because you've already got Miller hot. Instead of sitting him down and wasting one of those opportunities to get him in a game, you just bring him in and sit Chapman tonight. Miller's no slouch as a closer himself.
No. But a guy with a great attitude, very little ego. Whatever they ask of him, he does. Truly one of the good guys in the game. 1-1. Strike 2 called.
Yeah, that's such a great point you made about Miller. When they were contemplating bringing in Chapman, they reached out to Miller and he said, hey, whatever you need from me, I'm in.
Encarnacion lays off the slider. Saunders waiting on deck should the inning continue. In the air to right field, playable for Hicks. Inning over. 4-0 Yankees going bottom 8. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Once again, here are Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Boston Red Sox in town. Maybe a time to get a Blue Jays ticket package. You pick the games and reserve seats that will get you closer to the action. Starting with 10 games up to a prorated full season, Blue Jays account executives will find the package that best suits your needs. Go to BlueJays.com to learn about all the great benefits of being a Blue Jays ticket package holder. Dan?
All right, Barry, thank you. We go to the bottom of the 8th here at Yankee Stadium. Blue Jay fans trying to have some fun, but hasn't been a whole lot to cheer about tonight. They're down 4-0 to the Yankees. Jesse Chavez, Buck, will make his first appearance since coming back off his suspension.
Yeah, Jesse making his 16th appearance. He had his suspension as a result of the hit batter during that brawl down in Texas, so he is back out. He has not pitched since the 16th in that ball game.
3-4-5 coming up for the Yankees, beginning with Mark Teixeira, who went 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts from the right side against R.A. Dickey. Bats from the left side against Chavez and takes a fastball for a strike. After Teixeira, Beltran, and then Hicks. And a liner into left field, a base hit.
Well, you can hear the crowd react to Teixeira getting a base hit. He was hitting 140 as a left-handed batter. He had an 0 for 19 stretch, snapped with an infield hit in Oakland. And it's been a real struggle for Mark lately. He's battling more than anything timing issues. Mechanically, he says he feels fine. He's just in between pitches and late on a lot of them.
Here's Beltran. Homered in the 4th. He's driven in 2 runs on the night. Now 2 hits away from 2,500 in his career. Low ball 2. In the Yankee bullpen now, it's a left-hander, but it's not Miller. It's Jason Shreve. Now that it's 4-0 and a non-save situation looms in the 9th inning, Joe Girardi will try to rest 2 of his big 3 and hope that Shreve can get through the 9th. Donaldson racing over, won't have a play. Whoops, that guy will. Yeah, you're busted, buddy.
Yeah, like nobody noticed. You got dirt all over you.
Dirty, you're busted.
You got stuck between the tarp and the wall. I hope nobody sees me. Watch this.
Yeah.
Ooh, he says there's a souvenir there, and I got to get over there and pow.
What people will do for a baseball. Ball 4. John Gibbons just doesn't have a lot of guys he can turn to in the bullpen right now and feel really good about knowing what he's going to get.
No, and that's been a problem for a while now. And Pete Walker, he's been agonizing over trying to help these guys sort things out in the bullpen, and it hasn't been a real easy task. Pitching from behind, walking guys coming in and giving up inherited runners.
Here's Aaron Hicks, came on defensively an inning ago for Dustin Ackley. Acquired by the Yankees in an offseason deal with Minnesota catcher John Ryan Murphy going the other way. Hardly played at all at the beginning of the season for the Yankees. Got a chance to play more when A-Rod went on the DL and Beltran went to DH. That opened up a spot in the outfield. Hicks is a pretty good defender, got a great arm, switch hitter. And switch pitcher Pat Venditti now warming up in the pen with Chavez struggling. The 2-1. Big swing and a foul back, 2-2.
A lot of people might wonder why you just don't leave Joe Biagini into the game, and I think it's because he has become one of the more reliable pitchers in their bullpen. He gave up an infield hit to Ellsbury, but we got 2 more games in this series, and John Gibbons is thinking, man, I got Biagini in there for 2 batters, and hopefully if I can use him in a good situation tomorrow, he'll be available. Believe me, when your bullpen is really struggling, it's difficult for a manager to kind of map out how you're going to close out games. It's almost like a coin toss. You sit out there and say, well, maybe this guy will match up against that. And believe me, he and Pete Walker sit down and look at all the matchup charts and say, okay, this guy can pitch to this part of the lineup. Maybe this guy can get through that part of the lineup. But it's a nightly mix and match for them right now.
And Chavez has loaded the bases. Well, no surprise when you compare the bullpens of these 2 teams. It's a mismatch right now. Roberto Osuna certainly doing his part for the Blue Jays. But the Yankees with that great back end of the bullpen, the big 3, and the numbers not even close.
Well, and the strikeouts are really the difference, because in a division like the AL East, you can't allow hitters to put the ball in play. And that's what was so good about the bullpen last year for the Blue Jays. They had some strikeout pitchers down there. And it's not the same, and you can see how it wears on the pitching coach.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Starlin Castro takes a strike. An opportunity to really blow it open here in the bottom of the 8th. Now to play 0-2. Pete Walker wants to see if Venditti's ready. Roller to short, juggled, throw home, and they'll get the force at the plate.
Good job by Goins to stick with it. And that was his only play. He bobbled it, but he stayed with it and had enough time to throw its share out. Now John Gibbons has popped out of Blue Jays dugout. He's made the call to the bullpen for Venditti.
So a tough outing for Chavez. Gives up a base hit and a couple of walks, records an out, and now will be lifted. As Venditti will come in to face Chase Headley, switch pitcher, switch hitter. Tossing his warm-up pitches. He hasn't declared which way he's going to throw yet. He has to declare first. So he throws a right-handed pitch. Headley takes a practice swing from the left side. Now Venditti switches to throw left, and Headley turns around to hit right. And Headley, as you can see, he's got another batting helmet in front of him. He's got both helmets because, Buck, he doesn't know which way he's hitting yet.
Yeah. Pat Venditti has to declare which arm he's going to throw with, and then Chase Headley will bat accordingly. And Venditti always comes in and warms up right-handed and then switches. And now you can see Headley has put his right-handed hitting helmet on. And this is how Venditti is going to start the inning.
He switches his shin guard.
Lots of changes going on here.
Well, Headley, his numbers are much weaker from the right side. So it would make sense for Venditti to throw from the left side. So Headley was in the dark waiting to see what would happen. The unusual circumstance, of course, just starting with Venditti with a switch pitcher, but then that gets complicated by a switch hitter, and it is Venditti who has to declare first which hand he is going to throw it.
Venditti actually began his career with the New York Yankees in 2008, pitching at Staten Island in the New York Penn League. He was a 20th round pick by the Yankees in 2008.
Bases loaded, one out in the bottom of the eighth, and the Yankees already leading 4-0, seemingly in control of this game. And now Tolley needs a word with Venditti.
He doesn't know if he's using the left-handed signs or the right-handed signs.
And this is the one area where, of course, Venditti does not have the theoretical advantage he has, because against a right-handed batter he throws right, against a left-handed batter he throws left. Here he does not have the platoon advantage, if you will.
As you saw, he's one of the few Blue Jay relievers that has fared okay stranding inherited runners.
Pilar into right center, makes the catch. Tagging at third, coming in to score Beltran, advancing to third Hicks, 5-0 Yankees.
Well, Headley doing just exactly what you want in that situation. Got a ball to the outfield deep enough to chase home the base runner from third.
RBI number 10 on the season for Headley. First and third, 2 down. And now Gregorius, left-handed batter. Venditti throwing obviously from the left side. Every run the Yankees add on makes Joe Girardi a little bit more comfortable about not bringing Miller into the game. You can save Miller and Chapman for tomorrow. Not a lot of good news tonight here for the Blue Jays. They didn't hit. They didn't force the Yankees, at least to this point, to use Miller and Chapman. Base hit through the right side to make it 6-0. Tulowitzki leaving with an apparent injury, although it didn't appear to be that serious from the way he was moving, but maybe taken out for precautionary reasons. And along with Shreve now, right-hander Luis Cessa, right-hander number 85, is up in the pen for the Yankees.
Betances came in and really neutralized the Blue Jays in the 7th after a leadoff walk. He retired all 3 men he faced with a couple of strikeouts, and then the Yankees went to work offensively. He scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th, and then they switched roles.
Venditti now will throw right-handed against the right-hand hitting Austin Romine. 6 runs, 8 hits now for the Yankees. No runs, still just 2 hits for the Blue Jays. Both of them singles. And the 0-1. And a look out in the on-deck circle, Jacoby Ellsbury.
Man, that hit Ellsbury, but I think he got a hand up to deflect it, standing on deck.
Good thing that ball was kind of squibbed by Romine. He didn't connect on it sharply. 0-2 the count. Romine's had a good night. Couple of hits, driven in a run. Chases the slider in the dirt, and the inning is over. But 2 more runs for the Yankees. Going to the 9th, now 6-0. Top of the 9th inning here at Yankee Stadium. Dan Shulman to Buck Martinez. The Yankees with a commanding 6-0 lead on the Blue Jays. Right-hander Luis Cessa, just recalled last week from AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. His 2nd stint of the season with the Yankees, pitched last year in the Mets and Tigers organizations. He'll come on to work the 9th inning.
He started out his professional career as an infielder in 2009 before being converted to a pitcher during the 2011 season. The Yankees got him along with Chad Green from Detroit in exchange for left-hander Justin Wilson last December.
Michael Saunders will lead it off for the Blue Jays. He'll be followed by Russell Martin and then Jimmy Paredes. Nathan Eovaldi went 6 innings plus a batter tonight. 2 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Betances got 3 outs in the 7th, including a couple of strikeouts. Kirby Yates worked the 8th, and now Sessa here in the 9th.
Michael Saunders has a 10-game road hitting streak at stake here. Michael's gone 0 for 3. As we mentioned, Blue Jays have only 2 hits. A lot of 0-fers in the lineup tonight. Bautista has 1 of the 2 hits. He's also walked tonight, batting in the leadoff spot.
Tulowitzki the other hit. He also walked before he left with an injury. Ground ball to second. Two more games coming from the Bronx. On air at 6:30 tomorrow night. First pitch just after 7. Marco Estrada and then Ivan Nova. And then an afternoon game. First pitch just after 4 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. Jay Happ and CC Sabathia.
Marco Estrada, you see 1 and 2 with a .261 earned run average. He's the only starting pitcher in the major leagues with an ERA under .270 and less than 3 wins. He's really pitched in tough luck.
Russell Martin's first at bat of the night.
Well, Dan, we mentioned this was a tough stretch of 12 games. The Yankees for 6 home and home, and then the Red Sox for 6 home and home. And the Blue Jays have to get things turned around before they find themselves buried in this AL East.
Yeah, not a lot of good news on the out-of-town scoreboard. Obviously, a loss here means a Yankee win. Boston is up 7-3. Tampa Bay has already won. The only good news is that Baltimore's trailing Houston 2-1 as the Orioles bat on the top of the 6th. The Blue Jays entering play today 6 games back of both the Orioles and the Red Sox. And Martin, I think the ruling was he was hit by the pitch, and he will head down to first.
Inside pitch, and he turns into it and has that ball hit his left elbow, just grazed him, but enough for him to take first, and may have even got his jersey, not necessarily his elbow.
Now Paredes getting a start on the DH spot tonight. He has walked and struck out twice. Runner is going and will take second on defensive indifference. And just as I said, it was 2-1 Houston. Manny Machado homered and has tied the game. It's 2-2. Another ground ball to second. 2 down in the inning. Martin takes third.
Chris Tillman is pitching for the Orioles in that game, and he's gotten off to a good start this season. He is trying to bounce back from a couple of disappointing seasons. He's allowed 2 runs on 3 hits through 5 innings, and now it's a 2-2 game.
So the Blue Jays down to their final out here as Kevin Pillar steps in 0 for 3. Hit the ball hard to deep left center, about a 385, maybe 390 foot out last time. Nice running catch by Brett Gardner. Check swing bouncer past the mound. Gregorius charges, fires, and gets him. And the Yankees win it.
Well, not much went right for the Blue Jays tonight. They managed just 2 hits. They got shut down dramatic by Nathan Eovaldi, and then Dylan Betances came in with an opportunity, Blue Jays, to get back in the game, and he retired 3 in a row with a couple of strikeouts. And from there, the offense took over and put up a 6th spot, and that was it for the Blue Jays.
We will see you again tomorrow night for the 2nd game of this series for the Yankees. With a very strong performance tonight, they win 6-0. Time now for Blue Jays Central. Here are Jamie Campbell and Greg Saul.